Good evening, and welcome back to. There's absolutely no one there, Rob. I don't even know who we're talking to right now.
We're talking to each other
in the corner, but good evening, those that watch this afterwards. Oh, we've got one.
We've got one. My money's on it's Walshy.
Is that you that's just logged in yourself, Rob, on your own YouTube channel, or
It could be. It could be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We haven't done one of these for a while, and this is incredibly impromptu. We've got three. It's rising. This is a good start. We're doing well, considering. Hey, good man. Andy's here. Casey, look, you said, didn't you? Look, there he is.
I said it'd be Walshy. He doesn't let us down. He's one of the reliable ones.
He is, indeed. And Mr. Ben. I tell you what,
good man.
We're doing well here. It's the two of them. I love it. Who else? Who's the third one? Come on, who's the third one that's in here? We want to know.
Don't know.
We want to know. Guys, listen, we thought we'd. Oh, what?
You've forgotten something. You're in the hot seat. You know what I normally do when I'm sitting where you are. Come on.
Yeah, you talk gibberish. To be fair.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Well, I tell you what,
the thumbs up. Yeah, come on, press the button.
Jesus H. Wept. I've got to find the bloody thing first.
Standards.
Somewhere, mate, isn't it? This one?
No!
No, you don't want that one. How about this
That's
one?
the
Does
one.
This one work for you?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Guys, listen, I'm going to read it because guess what? It's there at the bottom of the screen. I can read it and say, please don't forget to like and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And what are they going to do with the bell tonight, Rob?
Wave it in a vigorous fashion in the rough vicinity of Prague.
Wowzers. Okay. I'm not quite sure what I'm meant to do that, but wave it. Wave it what? Vigorously. Wave it vigorously.
Yes.
Wave your bell, or wave the bell.
Sorry, in the general direction of Prague.
In the general direction of Prague, and may we celebrate. But we'll come to that. Listen, this is a very impromptu return for Claret Review. I have to say, I got home from a meeting, and I wanted to do it. Really, I wanted the company of my West Ham family before I go enjoy the company of my real family. I'm just going to say hello. So, Mr. Ben wants to know, Gatesy. He wants to know what a kit that was.
Still fits me. What, 20 odd years later? It's incredible.
Really? Are you sure it's not like a belly top on
you? No. It fits perfectly, like a glove, like it always did.
I'm not quite sure what I'm meant to do with that information, but
just marvel at its sheer majesty.
We're still talking about the shirt.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Okay, fantastic. People saying hello to each other in the chat. Rob, I'm not used to being this side of this is weird for me, pressing buttons and shit down this side. Words and pictures is here. WP, good evening, Mr. Frost.
Hey, mate. Mr. Frost, hope you're well, sir.
Andy Walsh says you've got to wave the bell, like you got 5k in notes in your hand. It's a bit weighty, I would assume. Anyway, and WP says, where's he gone?
I'm here.
Okay. WP says, thwacking his bell towards Prague. Zippy face, don't do it. Don't do.
No,
anyway.
I won't. I promise.
And he says, my West Ham top need lycra panels inserted. Yeah, well, listen, I know that one, buddy. I'm with you. Good evening, Rob. It's nice to welcome
Rob,
back.
hope you're well, mate.
Spencer says he watched your recent video.
God help him. God help him.
It was, I have to say, we'll cover a little bit more of that as this goes on. And Warrior, woo-hoo. Good evening. Welcome back. And so like I say, wanted to do a quick impromptu today. I was feeling a bit blur. So
don't talk to me about driving, Chris. Honestly, don't even go there.
He's not a happy bunny, Chris. He's not.
Don't even go there.
I've received several voice notes from my compatriot over here. Here, that's pointing behind me. Over in that one. Several voice notes from him. Several expletives. Based on traffic and I didn't realise Rob knew so many swear words. I'm like, where are you going? You shut the
I'm
door?
just shutting that door because we've got the heating on.
So, good evening, Mr.
Kids
Cox.
are a nightmare.
How are we? Hope you're well.
Oh, hang
Gatesy,
on. Is that Anchor or something else? It's not as easy as it looks, Spence. I've got to say, it's not as easy as it looks.
Andy, again, we'll cover this in more detail shortly, buddy. And Extension Rebellion. Are they building an extension at your house, Rob? Or is there something else?
No. I mean, if you're on about those Extinction Rebellion or the what's the other one? Insulate Britain. Oh my God, the chaos that they've caused anywhere really, London predominantly, at gluing themselves to the ground. Don't get me started
on the roundabouts, etc. Yeah, they're not favourite people of us around here.
The thing is, I know we're here to talk. I know we're here to talk West Ham, but I'm just going to get this off my chest. Fundamentally, I don't disagree with what they're protesting about. I do disagree with the way they're protesting about it.
I couldn't agree more. And it's stopping the everyday man from getting to his job, essentially, and this is why people are getting pissed off. Scott Venn says, Leicester till I die. Are West Ham the new Leicester? Well, you know what, Mr. Venn? I touched on this the other day. I'm going to hit. I'm coming at Spencer in a minute. Don't you worry about that shit. His latest comment, there's going to be conversations.
I've seen it.
I'm telling you. Oh, shut that door. I think that I did mention the other day, Rob, didn't I, in our what was meant to be a Liverpool preview turned into my cooking show. Was that this is our Leicester City season. Whether or not we go on and win it all this season, it's still a fairy tale. Leicester's was a fairy tale. This is our fairy tale. None of us could have expected us to be essentially doing what we're doing, being where we are. Would you agree with that, Rob? Would you say that this is our fairy tale Leicester season?
Do you know, there was something I was listening. Yes, forgive me, guys, but you know, I'm driving around Southeast London. I have the radio on, and I had TalkSport on. Do you know what? I'll be honest. I actually quite enjoy listening to Simon Jordan.
I'm sorry, but no. Listen, I can't be having that. He can carry on talking behind the scenes. Listen, I can't be dealing with anyone that watches or listens to that rubbish. They wind me up more and more. And Rob, I love you, mate. But you brought that on yourself by admitting that that's what you do. Now, if I bring you back in, are you going to promise not to mention that name? I can see you crying in the background, right? We don't mention that horrid name. Okay. Now, listen, I'm going to bring you back. You've got to behave. Otherwise, you're going to get it. All right? All right. Here we go then.
A sports radio station.
All right, okay.
I was listening to.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realise this. Apparently, we've got one more point than Leicester City had at this stage when they won the Premier League. It's quite incredible. I never knew that.
Listen, it's written in the stars. I'm telling you now. It must be. It must be written in the stars. I mean, we're in a title challenge, Rob.
Well, we are at the minute.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. We're in a title race at the minute. And if this continues over the next 4 or 5 games, we get to Christmas and we're still here. We have to be genuinely considered that we are in a title race. And I personally right now believe that we are. And I think it's amazing. I'm absolutely in love with this situation. I'm going to go back through some more comments, Dave.
Yeah,
good evening,
why not?
Sir.
That's me cousin Dave. How are you, sir? All the way from sunny Croydon.
Rob has a question, Mr. Gates.
Shoot.
What can you tell me about the new scout?
Bugger all.
Because I don't know. So what can you tell me as well?
Nothing. I can't tell you a thing.
Honestly,
I couldn't have even told you his name.
Chocolate teapot, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry.
Chocolate teapot. Hang on a minute.
What?
Oh, I'll tell you what. You put that bloody pain in the arse he's live, isn't he? So he ain't going to be coming over this afternoon. I was hoping he was going to come over and have a little chat.
Who's that?
Our little peachy baby. He's on his own, doing his own. Bless him.
Is he?
I
thought he'd have finished by now.
Going. Yeah, well, listen, that's... You've met Pete, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Fair enough. 20-minute voice notes on WhatsApp.
I love him. I do, but my God.
Shall we point it out? Because I don't know if anybody in the live chat's actually clocked it, Duke. What's been pinned? What's been pinned?
There you go.
You can join us, ladies and gentlemen.
Hit that link. If you want to come and have a little chinwag with me and Gatesy, there's no pressure.
If you're really ugly, you can turn the camera off.
Turn your camera off then, sir. Rob, Leicester has Chris has a question for you.
Yep. Oh yeah, I seen it. Yeah. Listen, don't knock him. He came on as a sub the other day, and he looked good. Yeah. Don't be knocking Virgil van Dawson now, Chris. No need for it. You're only jealous.
God says, give us the title.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah.
But we are massive.
We are. And I'll tell you what, we'll hit that now. Sorry, I'll come back to the chat in a minute. Simon Jordan, has anyone seen the whole Simon Jordan debacle on that wonderful nondescript radio YouTube thing?
He was trying to pass it off as banter this morning.
Yeah, of course he was, because he realised just how much of a faux pas he'd actually made. Now, I don't know her name, and I apologise. I think, is it Laura Jones?
Laura Jones.
One of the co-presenters. She's a young lady. I'm not sure.
Laura Woods.
Oh, Laura Woods. That's her name.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Again, I don't watch that fucking show. Someone had mentioned it on Twitter, and I think I liked it and retweeted it. It was the fact that she said it's a tongue-in-cheek. A bit like England fans always singing "It's coming home." We don't actually believe it's going to happen until we get to the final, and then we start to believe it's going to happen. I think it's done in the same way. You know, it is tongue-in-cheek. Yes, do I believe right now we are fucking massive? Yeah, listen, we're a massive club in my opinion. Our supporter network is huge. Let's not mess around. Our fan base is massive.
Yep.
And there you go. That's why we are a massive, massive club. This absolutely blows me away. But that's where we're at right now.
No, that is mad odds, isn't it? I don't ever remember it being that low.
And you go 3 or 4 more games, that might even drop even more.
Mm.
You know, it's ridiculous. I think. I'd like to think we've got every chance this season, Rob.
Oh, look who's just turned up.
He wants.
Are you going to let him in, though? Are you going to let him in?
Listen, I want him to embarrass you with your Michael Moore, Bobby Dawson comment. So here you come.
Give us a D.
Actually, you know what? He's going again because I've just seen his hat that he's got on. He can take the hat off if he wants to come back. I've decided. I saw the hat and I can't be dealing with it.
There he goes.
There we go. Right, you can come back now.
I wore it especially for you. Now, I just want to come on, guys. I can
imagine.
And say, well done. I think you are the Leicester this season. It's great to see you up there. And I hope you give the the so-called big 6 teams a kick up the arse. And whether you can win it or not, I'm not sure. And that's not being, horrible or anything. No. But can you be top 4? Why not? You've proven that I know nothing about football, because I thought you'd be back down in your normal relegation fight this season, with no disrespect. But, Moyes come in and, he came back, as they say, the prodigal son, and he's doing great for you. You smashed us earlier in the season, of course. I'd get that in before you did, but you deserve to be where you are. You're having a great season. You're doing well in Europe. Oh, you've got a good group, but when we did last season, it's good to see other teams up there, and disappointed it's not us. But I honestly think you could get top 4.
Listen, Chris, when obviously you went on this magnificent, like I say, this fairy tale season that you had, were there times, and I've mentioned it so far, that I think that it's going to come eventually. You know, this Liverpool's unbeaten run came to an end at our hand, Sunday. And obviously the pundits were, when you were flying at the top of the league and everything else, it'd only take 1 or 2 results to go against you and you'd start the slide. Did you think, was you concerned at any point that was going to happen and that what looked like a title challenge for you, even with 5 or 6 games to go, was you worried that was still going to slip away?
Guys, I'm a Leicester fan. I didn't believe it from game week 1 to game week 36 when Chelsea got the draw against Tottenham. I actually worked with a Spurs fan at the time, and we were actually sat next to each other, and we're both the whole season going like, we're not going to do it. We're going to implode. We're going to make a cock up of it. And Leicester, always do. And he said, nah, Spurs always do, and obviously they did. No, I didn't believe it at all. And I never got my hopes up because it was impossible, wasn't it? As they said, it was the impossible dream. And I never thought it would happen. I thought one of the big clubs would come back with a run at the end of the season. But look, for us, we could only play the teams that are out there. We didn't have Europe, and that was a big help for us because all the teams around us did have Europe. Man United still had Van Gaal in charge, so they were never going to win a toffee race. Man City came out with about 10 weeks to go, said they're sacking the manager at the end of the season. That completely ruins any team's season. Tottenham were giving us a run, but they imploded. Arsenal were, under the bad Wenger years, he didn't have long left. So, a lot of those teams sort of worked in our favour. The big thing was, like I say, we didn't have Europe to contend with. But yeah, I never thought that we would do it up until I watched that game, and I've never cheered another team scoring a goal as much as when Hazard put that goal past the Tottenham keeper. And then the final
I think I celebrated like it was us. I won't lie, because in that game I thought that Tottenham were such bad losers in that game. Their sportsmanship against Chelsea was awful to watch. The players, the way they were it was awful, painful to watch at the point.
They should have been down to about 7 men at the end.
Yeah, without a doubt, mate. Without a doubt.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
The answer is Dawson. What is the question?
At any point between when the final whistle went at Stamford Bridge with the 2-2 draw against Tottenham and Wes Morgan actually lifting the Premier League trophy, did at any point you shed a tear?
Never stopped.
Beautiful.
I that night, and I know you don't like. I went on the radio station that shouldn't be mentioned that night because, funnily enough, I literally sport talk. Yeah. I was sort of virtually on every other week because of the season we were having, and usually the sports bar, which was a great show at the time, and I was literally on national radio live, pissed off my head because I drunk so much during that game. I went into work the next day in my Leicester top, still hungover, and yes, I cried. I'm not going to lie. I still do now. I cried when we won the FA Cup last season. I'm sat there with my son. We're watching it. I couldn't get there. We're watching it on telly. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. I turned away at the final whistle because I couldn't face him because I knew I was crying. And he did the same, And and I would say to you guys, if you were to win it, you're going to cry.
Oh,
you,
God, yeah.
You will do. It's just we're not quite as bad as Scotland, but it is becoming. You could have predicted the top. Well, we did. I did predict the top 4 at the start of the season. Man United have fallen away, and it's great that, like I say, a club like West Ham, who haven't had the success of recent years, like the other clubs have. And it's great to see you in there. It's great to see another team doing it. And, I just hope, I'd love it to be Leicester, like I say, but it's not to be this season, I don't think.
You've already done it. You can't have another go.
I just like to finish in the top 4. We've been so close the last couple of seasons. But, guys, I would wish you all the best. I hope it lasts all season, except when you play us again. Please stick Antonio's cardboard cutout on instead of the actual player himself. And I really, really hope you go. And as I say, I don't quite think it's changed since we've won it. There's a lot more money been pumped in. The Big Six virtually, it's reported that they came out and said that's never happening again. And they've spent millions. So whether
I think Sky probably came out and said that's not happening again.
Well, probably, yes.
You know,
Don't
that's
start
the really
me on
daft thing.
Sky.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but surely that was a good thing for the game to have a team that nobody fancied come from nowhere to actually do it. I mean, surely that must be a good thing for the sport at large.
But for Sky, you see, I think it's Sky that's come up with this Big Six thing. It's never around before, Sky. And it's the 6 clubs that obviously bring them more revenue in from being watched around the world. And yes, for that season, we were never on telly as much as that season. We were known worldwide. There was books. But it soon tails off and back to sort of semi-normality. I mean, I live, like I say, down in Poole. I worked in Bournemouth at the time. And people, I was obviously going out with my Leicester coat on, during this winter, and people would just come up and say, "Oh, Leicester City," and I went into the bank, and the woman behind the counter said, "Oh, Leicester City fan, Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez," and I went, "Yeah, who do you support?" She said, "No, I hate football," but she knew about, and that's the thing that it created. It was good. I honestly think it was good for football, but it wasn't good for the the money men, shall we say, But guys, I apologise for hijacking your show, but
No,
I just
glad
wanted to
have
come
you.
on and say, just go and do it for us, because I think you can this season if you can keep in. And that was the thing with us; we didn't have many injuries that season.
Yeah,
and we didn't have the squad we've got now. We didn't have a large squad, and it really did help us not having those injuries, obviously. So if you can keep all your players fit, as I say, I think Chelsea are going to win it. Fingers crossed, exactly. I think Chelsea are going to win it, but I'd love to see you say in that top 4.
Well,
you're
fingers
saying
crossed.
that, Chris. Andy's come in with a comment here, which I think I'm in agreement with. If we can, if we're sticking around long enough at this point in time, and then Mike goes on to say, 10 more games and we're still there, who knows?
Yeah.
But you know what? I think there's a point to be made for both of them, really. Let's be honest. Gatesy, you and I spoke, and Chris, it's probably quite relevant for you guys when you actually went on and won it. You're coming up against these guys, and the argument really to be had is the fact that, you know what, if I said 1-1 Gatesy, my gut, my head said 2-1 Liverpool. My heart said 2-1 West Ham. My gut said it was going to be a 1-1 draw. So kind of had some effects on it. But that's where I was. That I honestly thought we could get a draw out of the game, but part of my heart was going, no, we're going to have to take this apart and do the job. And we did go on and win it. And I suppose in the same way with your season, Chris, was more like you're coming up against what we consider to be these big boys, and you're going, draw or do, wouldn't it? Or I just hope we don't get spanked, And for years, Gatesy, you'll agree with this. We've felt that way, haven't we? For years, we just don't want to go out and get embarrassed by these teams. And here we are now. We've beaten Man U in the cup, we've beaten City in the cup, albeit on penalties. Now just taken Liverpool, we bullied Liverpool into submission, for want of a better word. And here we are sitting, quite rightly so, considering our form, I think. I don't know whether you guys, Rob and you, Chris, obviously, as a Leicester fan, see it. But I see it as we're there on merit. We deserve to be second right now because we are second.
The table never lies. You are where you are. You know, and all this sort of like, they don't deserve to be there. The football deserves more. Well, it doesn't, because no matter how your football's being played, it's the points you've got on the board.
Yeah.
And just taking up what you said before, Duke, is that throughout that whole season, every game we played, I thought, this is going to be the one we lose. We're not going to beat this. We only lost 3 games all season.
Yeah.
Fortunately, 2 of them were against Arsenal, and 1 against Liverpool. But we spanked Liverpool's arse in the other game, so fair enough. But that to go through, if you tell me now that we went through that season losing only 3 games, and I think the thing with Leicester as well is that the season before we'd done the Great Escape.
Yep.
And I think that's what made it news. I think if we'd finished, and this is probably why it wouldn't be such big news if you guys did it. Yes, it would be big news, but you'd had a good season last season. The fact that we came off that Great Escape, that's what made the headlines and the story. But you go into every game thinking, is this going to be the one? And shit, we've won you. And you go 1-0 down, and you're thinking like, we're going to come back. We're going to, enjoy it. That's all I'll say. Have the belief, because I couldn't enjoy it, as strange as it sounds. I enjoyed it more afterwards than it made me a nervous wreck. I'm going to be honest. I was doing these sort of shows every other night. You'd be ringing another blogger up saying, God, I've double booked on Thursday. Can you speak to this radio station from New Zealand on Thursday? Well, if you can do sort of this American one on Friday for me. It was absolutely mad. It really was. And enjoy it while it lasts, guys, because, normality resumes every couple of seasons, and you guys will be back, unfortunately. But you're having a great season. You're doing well in Europe. And you're doing so well in there, and I wish you all the best. I really do.
Cheers, mate. Do appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Go now and let you have your show back. All I'll say is, I'll leave you with this. Come on, Craig Dawson. Come on. You guys,
don't disrespect the Dawson.
You did, not me. You started disrespecting. I said he's the new Bobby Moore, but you wouldn't have it.
You're right. You're right, Chris. You're right. Sorry.
Take care, guys. All the best and good luck for the season.
Take care, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Cheers.
I'll just go back. I'll tell you what. Since we did the video with Chris, I know you've been backwards and forwards with him, haven't you, Rob, on his channel and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's I'll tell you what, he's such a humble guy. We were talking about fans, West Ham fans and such not so long ago, and we were saying, I mentioned it after the Man City win that the power's gone to Man City fans' heads, and it is the younger ones it feels like it's a sense of entitlement. And the Leicester fans haven't. They've won the league. They admitted that they wouldn't be there or thereabouts again for some time, because, like we said, they'll pump some money back in. We said it last year. In fact, it was mentioned here that they're going to throw money at these. Although we end up with a COVID pandemic, they were going to throw money at all of this, and it was just a case of to see what follows. But here we are. You look at what other teams, and by other teams, I can't think of what was the big name signing that Liverpool made this season. Rob, was there one?
The only signing they made from memory was Ibrahim Konate.
Yes, there was a bit of cash spent there. It was centre back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of cash spent there. You look at what United went and did.
Yeah,
it's working out really well for them, isn't it? And but we're still there. We're still sticking two fingers up at the establishment and the hierarchy of what they consider to be, these big boys in the Premier League, and we're going, ooh, we're still here. We're not going nowhere.
Say hello to my little friend.
Oh, all right. Put it away. We're live. Unlike the 5 people that have just decided to leave the stream when Chris went. So Chris obviously brought a few people in. I just want to say hi up here a little bit further. Simon, I'm sorry I didn't say hello to you.
You missed him.
About 8 minutes ago.
He's probably buggered off to the toilet now. He was probably one of the 5.
He might even have a sit and listen. You don't know.
Possible. Yeah.
I hope he comes back if he has gone, because I'm guessing there's news here.
News. Mr. Venn, Mr. McCready, news.
Mr. Venn is saying that Laura was his future wife.
Get in line. Get in line.
Warrior says that the pundit are giving it 10 games. Give it 10 games and we'll see. Well, we're now third and we ain't going away. You know what, Warrior? And that's exactly my thought on it, is we're not going away. No. We're sticking around and we are like that buzzing, annoying mosquito for these big boys, these so-called big boys, because we're there and they're not enjoying it. They don't like us being there. They have no right. Look at these. They're scumbags. Get them away. These commoners. Take them away from us, Claire. Alex, we shall cover that momentarily. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. What else we got? Pete says that he's put a score on West Ham to win the Premier League. Beers are on you if that comes in, my friend. He also told Chris not to be greedy about having too much going on. And he said, cheers. Listen, I'm pretty sure he said that about 16 years ago, 18 years ago, before the Twins were born. Oh, he's got his little friend out. And then James has said, again there, West Ham, come on you Irons. And Andy says, we are ruffling feathers and I love it. You know what? Yes. Okay, Rob, make sure you don't put your headphones on. He's left me. He's left me with you lovely 18 people. Now, listen, I said this was impromptu. I said we were coming on. We didn't have a script. We never had a script. We've never had a script. It's just what we do, guys. We just like to wing it. So come and join us at the top of the chat. In fact, you know what? I'll stick it in there again now, because why not? There is the link to StreamYard. If you want to come and join us, hit that link and come on over. I nearly started to sing, come on over to my place. But, come and have a party, because, we're going to be going for about another probably 15, 20 minutes. You don't know that, but I'm going to. If there's anything else you want to talk about, we're going to cover the Kretinsky deal momentarily. Because I feel that it's a huge part. We've had a couple of questions. There was one near the start. I'm going to scroll back and see if I can find it.
I can't believe that there's all these people that are watching and not one of them want to join us. Even, like I say, even with the camera turned off. Are we that scary?
Well, listen, I just said we're going to go for about another 15 minutes because I'm being moaned at. I'm not being moaned at. You want to watch an episode of Game of Thrones that I am ashamed to say. I have not watched fully.
I've never seen an episode of it.
Have you not? I recommend it. No. It's fantastic. Okay. It's a poor man's Lord of the Rings, I'm not going to lie. So
they say the C word quite a lot, I've seen, and lots of sex and Christ knows what in it.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
So basically we had a couple of comments. One was from, and I want to give credit to it, Andy said hopefully today is the start of the end of GSB. And then I think further down, did Pete mention it? Or was it someone else pulled it out? That Alex.
You can see he hasn't done this for a while.
Mate, I haven't got a Scooby. I'm literally scrolling like hell and I'm hoping for the best. Alex says, what can we see happening now that Kretinsky has obviously bought a stake in the club? Now, Rob, I know you did a video. Here's another question based on that. Any chance the new Czech bloke will eventually buy the stadium?
Well, there's always a chance.
Spencer said Sullivan won't give up the 38.8. That'll be handed to his kids. Don't bet on it right now when there is that much cash involved, Spencer. Pete says, I don't want to come across the thug, but every time I see Cookie Clock, I want to chase the bubble machine. Yeah, not going to disagree with you. And Sportstat says, for me, it's not about moving on. That never bothered me. It was more the fact that the sticks are too far away.
Yeah.
Again, you're right. Andy, please tell me the news about the under-21s. Gatesy, do you know anything before we hit?
I don't.
Hit
that
the
one's passed me by. Are they playing in the Papa John's or something?
I honestly, no, well, it wouldn't be, would it? Because would that be about now?
Don't know.
Because it's. Well, I thought it wouldn't be.
Well, no, because Walshy said the under 21s. So because obviously it's 23s, isn't it? But when they play in the Papa John's, it's the 21s. So I don't know whether it's something to do with that.
Well, there you go. We have been handed a penalty. I'm literally just reading this off of this. Colchester go through in the Papa John's Trophy at the expense of West Ham under 21s.
It's happened again.
We played. Yeah, we played
not another Omi in me. Oh, for Christ's sake! Do we never learn?
Ajibola Elise was suspended from playing after an unavailable for a selection after picking up 2 yellow cards in the previous 2 group fixtures. However, he still featured against Gillingham, which we won 2-0. As a result of the points deductions, our tally for the group will now total 3 points, meaning we finished 3rd. As a result, Colchester will progress to the next stage of the competition.
For Christ's sake. What, so the player didn't remember and neither did the club? Jesus. Really?
Can you say deja vu?
Well, I'll tell you what, that he's not getting promoted to the first team in the absence of Ogbonna, is he?
Well, listen, there are people, mate, that are there within this club to stop that shit from happening.
Yeah, I know, but surely he should have remembered. Surely he should have turned around as well and gone, hang on a minute, guys. I've been booked twice.
Listen, if these things happen. Right, before we hit Kretinsky and before I throw my thoughts into the mix, because obviously, Gatesy, you've already done your video. A very good, well put video, I have to say. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Legend in my eyes.
Both.
Can you be both?
Of course you can. Listen, he's a legend. Listen, what are we talking? Di Canio as a player, regardless of team, is a cult hero. As club status goes, he is a legend for us. Listen, he's a cult hero across many clubs. Many clubs love this guy, regardless of whether he plays for them or not. Many clubs loved him. Many fans thought he was fantastic. He was a maverick. He was, mate, I loved watching him play. But I'd like to point out, great player. Scott says that Simon is a Chelsea fan. We're going to be having words because I'm not.
Nobody's perfect, I guess.
Hey,
I'm married to a Spurs fan, you know, but she can cook.
Now, Kretinsky. Now, when this came to the fore, was it a couple of weeks ago now, 10 days, couple of weeks, that this guy was interested. I did a little research and I found that he was very well known in circles in this country, within business circles, obviously with is it Jay Sainsbury's? That he's involved in. I believe there's something else that now slips my mind, Rob.
Royal Mail.
Thank you. And it was a big institution in this country. It's let's not lie. So he knows business, and he obviously knows what our club in general is worth, because there is not a hope in hell that he is going to part with the amount of money that he parted with for 27% stake in this club. Okay, it's not happening. I can see all of this clicking up at the side, so I'm going to quickly go here.
I've
Simon is
just
a
seen
Chelsea
Simon's
fan.
comment.
He's been hiding it for 4 months, and then Simon's a might be a Chelsea fan. I like sports. In fact, you've got me into the channel. So you're right, we do.
That's fine, Simon. We forgive you.
And you're right. He's right. He's never admitted to his.
Well, we've never said that everyone here has to be a West Ham fan.
We are inclusive, and I welcome the opinions of other fans. And Simon, if it is true, and you are, I don't care. I don't care, and I'm glad you're here.
You're a member of the Forged family.
And you know what? And I was about to say that, Gatesy. We've met some lovely people over the time that we've done this, and Simon's always been very supportive of what we've done. So
he has.
I don't care. You can stay with us, Simon. I like you. Now, Kretinsky. Someone asked earlier, do we think he is going to develop the stadium? Hey, listen, who knows? He's obviously got the money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, the guy is worth about £4 billion. Now, in the grand scheme of things, when you pair him up next to, the entire Saudi Arabian country and their money, and obviously the oil men of Qatar at I believe his city, and when you pin that against the monarchy of Spain, Barcelona or Madrid, and obviously the money men down at PSG, £4 billion doesn't seem like a great deal of money, but if I was to tell you that is so much significantly more than the pair of twats that are currently sat at the helm of our ship, the good ship.
That's
the good
probably
ship
one of the nicest descriptions I've ever heard you give them.
You know what? It's because I don't want to get this channel banned, bro.
Fair enough. Good point.
Pete, I will cover this momentarily. I want to try and stick on track.
Makes a change.
He's bought in, right? Listen, no script, winging it. Couple more minutes, come on. He's obviously knows what he's doing. He's bought into this club because he sees something there.
Yeah.
Whether or not he's used his connections with regards to what he does with Sainsbury's and the Royal Mail within government circles.
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, that stadium isn't ours. We know that.
Yep.
But has he used, like I say, some insider information? Has he got some insider knowledge and dealings to know what it's going to take for that stadium? Now, it was spoken about, wasn't it, that we were going to, or Tottenham were going to redevelop Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And then tear down the London Stadium and do a big old to-do with the stadium, rip it down, a big old football stadium. Listen, we all know that was all talk is cheap, and it was all talk for them because they didn't want us to have the stadium. Let's not mess around. We'd got the bidding out of the way. We were going to buy that stadium. It was given to us to do with it what we felt.
I don't know whether it was that they didn't want us to have it. I personally think it was more a bargaining chip that they used against their council to get the planning permission for the stadium that they subsequently did get.
Yeah, you're right. Probably, Rob. And I also think that it was going to give us a massive leg up, wasn't it? Let's not lie. And listen, they were never leaving North London.
No.
They were never coming. They were never coming this way over. He obviously knows something. There must be something there, Rob, in the pipeline. Our club, for me, a stadiumless club with a set of porta cabins as training ground. He's not worth 700 million quid in anyone's estimations. Listen, every single one of us are going Newcastle, 300 million quid, big club, big fan base, their own stadium, pretty decent training facilities, and here we are with something that I think we took out of our stadium car park back in the early 90s as our changing room. There's no way in the world our club currently is worth 700 million quid. I don't believe, Gatesy, I don't believe you do in the grand scheme of things, and I don't believe anyone down the side of my screen.
But then I suppose
would believe so
flipping that on its head, I suppose what you could say is that any commodity is only worth what someone is prepared to pay for it. And Daniel Krasinski has purportedly paid, there is that, purportedly paid anywhere between 180 to 200 million pounds for a 27% stake in the club. So although I kind of agree with what you're saying, Daniel Krasinski doesn't.
No, listen, but then why is my question? Why doesn't he think why does he think it's worth that much money? Because there's obviously something must be going on behind the scenes that allows him to think it's worth spending that kind of money. Now, someone mentioned a bit earlier in the chat about David Sullivan won't give out the 38%.
Yep.
Trust me, if he knows what's good for him, he will give up that stake by 2023 because he will be run from this planet by West Ham fans. They will be absolutely,
I think at the very least,
stunning.
Gold will sell, and he's what 25%, 25.1% from memory. So I mean, if Krasinski bought his shareholding, then he becomes majority shareholder, doesn't he?
60, 62, 61.2 or something like that. So yeah, probably not even that.
52.1.
Is it Tripp has X amount of money as well?
He's got 8% now.
Listen, we don't know. I mean, listen, all we can do is speculate because we're at a situation now. Listen, if Krasinski's come in and he must have seen our port cabins again. Gates is something you touched on earlier.
Yeah.
He must know that needs rectifying. I remember when we were after Renato Sanchez. Is it Renato Sanchez? It was, wasn't it? And they compared pictures in the newspaper.
Yeah.
West Ham's training ground, Spurs' training ground. The Spurs' training ground.
No, it wasn't Renato Sanchez. No, it was.
It was a Sanchez. It was a Sanchez.
No, it was Fernandez. Fernandez.
No, it wasn't Gelson.
Gelson Fernandez. That was him.
Was it him?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm making it up as I go along. Told you, no script. It was.
We can edit it out, Duke. They'll never know.
I was pretending I was frozen. No, listen.
Fo's turned up
side by side. Fo's turned. I love Fo. He's great, man. Side by side comparisons, and we looked ours looked like the changing rooms for thank you, Fo.
See, he knew.
Just people digging me out now. Like, behave yourselves to me. I've got it wrong. All right, calm down a bit. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. I'm not Ken. I mean, come on now. And there's.
I've heard people call you something that sounds like
Ken. Tottenham's training facilities looked like the Avengers home base in the Infinity War saga and all that with Marvel. It looked like some sort of.
Ours just looks like home base.
Mate, I think Era from Belvedere's old stadium after it had been burnt down, which is my local club that I used to play for, looks better than our current situation at Rush Green. Listen, I can only speculate. I can only put forward what I wish happens. The same as the rest of us. We're only going to know what follows. Alex has made a comment here. Now, my concern with this, Alex, is that what am I doing?
No idea.
My concern with that is that was tried once by a certain gentleman that purchased Charlton Athletic.
Yes, Mr.
And
De
he tried to
Châtelet.
he tried to do exactly the same thing between them and
Was it Anderlecht? Standard
no,
Liège? KV
I've been
Mechelen?
liaised. And look how well that worked out. It didn't. He tried to sign a player for Charlton from, I think it was Liège or his Belgian club, and couldn't do it. So he fired him and cancelled his contract at previous Belgian club and brought him in at Charlton. And turns out it was crap. Turns out it was a bit dirge, and the Charlton fans got on the back. And then they sent all of the good Charlton youngsters that would look like they were ready to break through the first team out to Belgium and didn't use them. I know this because a few of the guys that I used to work with were Charlton fans, so I kind of got the inside scoop on that. So I'm kind of hoping, Alex, that it's only going to be, the players coming in are going to fit what boys want. There's all this talk about Adam Hlošek, and he's an outstanding talent. And I'd be excited to see him at our club. That being said, will he fit? We were also linked with from Slavia. We were linked with Sema, and look how well that's going for the young lad at the moment. There. So it's not exactly pretty. You know what, Steve? Listen, we can compete with anyone on a limited budget. You only have to look at what we're doing this season with the right personnel on the pitch. We could do with a little bit extra. You look at Liverpool's bench the other day. I think it cost 4 times as much as our bench did. When you're considering that one of the strongest players in a forward position that we can bring off the bench will be Yarmolenko. Key for me is trying to upgrade our bench. I'm not necessarily saying upgrade our first team and put our first team on the bench, but we certainly need to upgrade our bench. But they've got to be the right fit. It has to be the right fit. We can compete, and we're proving that right now on a limited budget with a limited squad size, because the players are buying into this notion that David Moyes has created. Don't run, you don't play. The Foes just said there, Rob, and I'm kind of I struggle with this. I'll be honest, I struggle with it.
I think the key phrase there is the 3 words "if done correctly."
Yeah, it scares me a little bit because the youth team football, it just depends on the quality of the quality of the league they're going to. It proved quite quickly that sending out the Charlton lads to might have been Shallower. I honestly don't know. Sending these guys out there, they didn't play. It wasn't that they were too good. These were considered young upstarts from a foreign land. Coming from
that happens even when they go to sort of like clubs down the pyramid. I mean, you've only got to look at Alves and Coventry this season. I mean, they're barely getting a pick, aren't they?
I think that's the attitude of the clubs they're going to, though, Rob, and I think the way that attitudes may have changed. I just feel that you go back 15, 20 years ago, and you remember the likes of Jermaine Defoe going out on loan and absolutely tearing it up in the lower league.
Charlie Walsh is in the chat. I don't know if you've got a spare 5 minutes, old chap, but the StreamYard link's pinned to the comment section.
It's coming.
Is it?
There it is. So if you want to come,
if you've got 5
before I disappear.
Well, any of you guys, that was an open invitation that was put out earlier. So
and listen, if like
not just to Charlie,
he said, as Fo has said, if done correctly, it may well just suit our needs. I would have preferred to have seen us send Josh Cullen out again. I'm not being funny. He's obviously doing the job. Let's not mess around. He's captain of Anderlecht. I mean, Jesus. I'm not saying that we should have sent him out. I'd love to have seen us keep him personally. He would have been. It would have been fantastic to have him still at the club. That's not lie.
Yeah.
So it just depends. All done properly, all done correctly. Do we think that it's going to happen?
I think it could be quite good. I mean, like I say, I think that if you had, let's just take a name completely at random, Daniel Chesters. Now, Daniel Chesters has already made his first team debut, albeit for a couple of fleeting minutes in a game that was already won. I actually think he would be massively benefited by going over, let's say, to Sparta Prague for a season and playing men's competitive football in that environment, rather than this under-23s nonsense where everyone's just sort of trotting around and everyone's pretty much of a muchness, and very few of the players that you see in the 23s make it through to the first team. They end up sort of like drifting down the pyramid, and most of them you never really hear from again, and they end up being plumbers or electricians or whatever. So I think they would be better served playing proper football.
Yeah, said this over and over again, mate. These under 21 jobbies, under 23 developmental squads, Premier League twos. It's not working out for the league. I saw someone make a comment up the top here about Chelsea. Who was it? Where are you? Seriously, why am I having trouble with this? Yeah, there you go. Steve says about Chelsea players are all out on loan. It's all well and good if they can get if you can find that for them, you know.
Well, they used to have a tie-up with Vitesse Arnhem, didn't they? I don't know whether they still do.
They had 4,862 players out on loan.
Yep.
At one point, I believe Chelsea, because for some reason they just have a monopoly. But I mean,
good luck to them, though. I think as a business, they're very, very successful. I mean, you look at the play. I mean, I think last season they had 66 players out on loan, if I counted it correctly. When they sell players, and they have buyback clauses and all the rest of it inserted, and they're just really shrewd operators. I mean, say what you want about them as a team and various other accusations you can level at them. The one thing you can't say is that they're not shrewd operators when it comes to transfer business and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is what it is, and I just got a bit of news. I can't concentrate now. I've just read. Sorry. I think if we can, if it's done right, and it's done to the development of the players and the club, then fantastic. But it has to be done with the benefit of us as a club in mind.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. It has to be done with us and our future and our players' development to the point that they will come back to us and play for us. It has to be done with that in mind. Has to be.
Agreed.
There he is. So, right, I have got 5 minutes, Mr. Gates and Mr. Walsh. So I'm going to bring you in and let's have just as I bring Charlie in, I'm going to bring up Andy's comment that Chelsea are people traffickers.
Oh dear. Allegedly.
Sorry, I'll let you take that one as you come onto the chat.
Oh, you're muted.
On mute. Or not plugged in. Or something.
Yep, your lips moving, but we got no sound. No,
oh, dear.
This is all live. Oh, hang on.
Oh.
Yeah, he's realised what's gone wrong.
It's all right. Listen, we're live. This is all part of fun and games of it.
I mean, to be fair,
they are people traffickers, and that's coming live from Forge from Mayans. You're welcome, everyone. There you go. If you want someone in the lawsuit, write that down.
We'll edit it out. It's fine.
Sure. You definitely don't take the stance I do, which is just minimal editing. Let's just stop any of that nonsense. How are you two?
Listen, where's the point? Where's the point? No script. We're just going in. That's it. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. No, I find the feeder club's one of the more exciting things about it for me. I think you look at good clubs who've done it successfully, and I know the idea of if it's done well and everything else, but Brentford have one. Like Chelsea's the interesting one, which was brought up. I mean, Matic, Mason Mount, these are all players who've gone through Vitesse at some point. I don't know if they've still got their thing going or not, but like it's just it's a useful thing to do. And like you say, you've both brought up the point of under 23 football not really doing it. I think the difference between us and say the Chelsea connection with Vitesse, or for example the Charlton reference, this is the best club in the Czech Republic we're talking about here. We're not talking about any rinky-dink outfit. We're talking about the club who win the title consistently. And so if we have a youth player who can go there and get first team experience consistently, then that shows they are more than good enough and gives them a big enough experience, like we've seen from the likes of Souček and Kufau and Crowd to a lesser extent, that they're good enough to come here and do something. And I think it's a big thing. It's not like, don't get me wrong. I think with like anything else, you can put the caveat of if it's done well next to anything. But I think having those links only broadens our network. And that's something we desperately need because our scope is so minuscule right now. Like we signed Kufau because our one scout got some guy called Thomas Souček who then went, yeah, I know a right back. That's our scope. It's a bloke. And so if we can increase our network that way as well, I think it only serves to benefit us massively in the long run. Hopefully, of course.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, our scouting network, for me, our scouting system is the one that I feel before anything else within this ridiculous ownership that we've had is one of the key things for me that really needs to be improved. And Moyes has already started that. He's already started putting things in place. And obviously Newman's come in, and apparently the gentleman Santos today has come in, and it's no longer, in a ring binder with some names that, Jack has decided he's going to scout on Football Manager or whatever or Championship Manager 99, 9900, because otherwise we'd be still trying to sign Messi at 16, I think, at one point. So, but that was the limit of our, wasn't it, when Pellegrini and Pellegrini Junior left, or whatever they were bloody called. They literally, our scouting network consisted of a few bits of fat paper in a folder, from what I understand. So, I think the key for me is to improve that already.
I think Pellegrini, the problem with the Pellegrini one was we did, and this is why I think the Rob Newman move, however you want to word it, hiring is so important, because the problem with the Pellegrini one is we did expand our scouting network and we had more than enough people doing it. Well, not more than enough. We had enough. We had a group of people. We had a team of scouts, which is more than we could say basically ever at the moment. And it wasn't even necessarily that they were putting it down on paper and took it with them. It's more the fact that when Pellegrini left, Huselos left, who was our director of football, and so did all the scouts, because that's their team. And it's such a backwards thing we did, where we hired our director of football on the word of a manager who was friends with the manager, and then when the manager left, we fired our director of football. Now, letting the manager pick him to begin with was insane, but you at least have to keep him after to make it worth anything. And we didn't. We just let them go. And obviously, at the same time they go, so do all of our scouts, barring one, and they take all of their research with them. Regardless of whether it's on a paper, a USB, or whatever. We've seen the government losing off USBs in this country to know that even that's not that great a way of doing it. But like it goes with them, right? So I think the Rob Newman thing is really important to me, because, and it's the thing again. I'm as much as we sit here and we get excited because we might have a bit more money to spend in January in the future windows or whatever with a new owner, and that is all very exciting. Don't get me wrong. The second we actually buy another human being, I'm going to get very excited. But like the thing that is exciting to me is the idea of we can actually fully invest in that back room now. We can actually fully do that. We have the money at our disposal to go, right, let's build out this scouting network, let's build out this team, and we've got someone who who did it at Manchester City to some extent. He wasn't the top person, but he was the second top person. So this is a promotion for him as well. But he's going to want to succeed, and it's a great thing. Hopefully that builds to an extent where when Moyes eventually does leave in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, however long it will be, the director of football doesn't, well, he's head of recruitment, but the head of recruitment doesn't leave with him and all the scouts leave with him, because otherwise we'll be in exactly the same position again, and it's just stupid.
Yeah, Fo's just made a comment here that Moyes was one of the first managers to use Sports Interactive, which is Football Manager, the database, a number of years ago. There's actually several out there, if now right, you know, that you can actually subscribe to. You pay like a yearly fee, and I do believe Moyes was toying with the idea when he first arrived that's what he was going to do. I think he was paying for it out of his own pocket for this like the Sports Interactive style scouting network system that was in place, and I got that from a decent source that that's what he was doing and that's what he was using. That might even be what it's called. Yeah, Fo's just come up with U Scout. It just amazes me that in this day and age that I'd expect lower league clubs to probably make benefit of that more than I would top flight clubs that you'd expect to have some sort of scouting network in place.
Even scouting, I think it just helps narrow down your field, right? It means you don't necessarily, like, for example, Souček was bought on the back of stats. Because his running stats were so good, he was covering so much ground. That's why we went and got him in the first place. It just helps narrow down your all of a sudden you go from looking at however many professional footballers there are in Europe, let's say 10,000 for the sake of argument. All of a sudden you can narrow it down from that to 100, and then you can go, all right, we can pick and choose what people we actually want to go and see and fully deeps. All the best clubs do it. All the best clubs do it.
All right, thanks. I'm just going to leave. I think I've kind of been embarrassed now. Thank you so much.
No. To back up your point. It backs up your point 100%, because it's one of those things where, like, you can buy a player on stats, and we've seen it enough. For example, Bebe at Manchester United, very famously, Ferguson had never seen him before they bought him. There's loads of examples like that. It just means that you can go, okay, we can go and scout this person, and I'm not expecting us to go overnight from having one scout to having 20 scouts or whatever. And so it allows us to actually pick and choose smarter who we actually want to go and see, because Moyes has the Moyes will always want to go see them, or someone on Moyes' team, because that's the way Moyes is, right? Like we've all heard the stories of Moyes going, oh, I went to see Stuart Pearce, went to see Dendoncker once and decided he wasn't good enough, and so he didn't sign Dendoncker. You know, there's loads of examples of that. Moyes went to see Maddison once when he was at Norwich and decided he wasn't good enough. Stuff like that. It just allows you to be a bit more selective and smart, because Moyes wants to go and see those people, you know?
In that, like you say, it narrows down the field. It's not like you say, we can only spend time looking at one player at a time. We can actually, if we narrow our field down, we can actually do a more extensive research on them, be it game wise, stats wise, and everything else. So yeah, it does, man. And I would like, I mean, listen, look, I've been watching. I've got a Twitter feed that I do like to watch Rob, don't I? And you're fully aware of this. And the guy has been outstanding. And currently I'm watching 5 or 6 of his future talents and ones to watch. And there are, I mean, this guy's got it nailed on. And I keep trying to get him on this channel, and he's ghosting me, Rob. He's ghosting me. I don't like it. Obviously, we're not big enough for him yet. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, but we're big enough to get Charlie on. So, you know,
I am not a big deal. Let's I'm putting that to bed now. I'm putting that right now.
You're a big deal
I reckon
to
if
us.
we did a poll in the chat, I think you'd find out otherwise there.
Yeah.
I mean, I can disagree with the poll as well. Listen, I will fight this to the end. I am some more, and I've got nothing.
No,
but I know, for
enough.
example, Gatesy's mentioned that you Duke have gone on about Adeyemi a couple of times, for example. Like, there's loads of young players
just
like that
once or twice.
Yeah, I've heard it come up a couple of times, and I think it's something just people like that we should be going and looking at, you know. And if we find them, I just think that's a banging sign. We'll see what happens. But yeah, No, I'm putting to bed this idea that I'm good. That's a strong no.
Well, 1 and 2 straight off the bat. I'm just saying.
Massive in terms of I've eaten too much, yeah, maybe, but I don't know about anything else.
Listen, it's always for me. It's great to have you on because you are face in this YouTube West Ham industry, sir, with your watch-alongs and everything else. It's quite a coup when you turn up on my screen with me, I've got to say.
Well, I always enjoy. I've said this to you both privately because obviously you've both done like Two Spanners, the show that me and Ray do and stuff. And I always like the stuff you do. I'm always sort of watching in the background. It's just whether or not I commented. I can't lie. When I started watching, I was lying on the sofa over there, half asleep. So and then you were like, "Oh, do you want to come on?" And I was making a cup of tea. I was like, "Yeah, that's good." But I'm always.
It probably made more sense while you were half asleep. To be fair.
Oh no, I wouldn't do yourself a disservice, sir. I think you're out here killing the game.
Probably right.
I think 24/7. I think I make more sense when I'm half asleep, potentially. But you two, I think that's a disgraceful statement to make about yourselves.
Probably entirely accurate, though.
I don't. Again, you've both been on the show. I think you've both been on Two Spanners as well, and I think you've killed it on there. You both come on here and you kill it on there. You know, like you've both popped up on other channels. You've killed it on there. I'm always
making it up as we go along.
Yeah,
making it up. That's all we do.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
That's what you got to do.
So, with that being said, I'm receiving numerous
death threats from the missus.
It's not far off, Rob. To be fair, she wants to watch a Game of Thrones episode, so I'm not going to go let her down. Boys, Charlie, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, even when you come on and embarrass me slightly. I'm not going to lie. I'm playing. You're always welcome over here, whether you're half asleep or not. Oh, there's George. I'm not sure I'm allowed to see him or something, but never mind. Who was Foe's Yamid? Hey, listen, he's outstanding. Him and Florian Wirtz, I have to say. But the fact that Florian Wirtz is currently worth about 45 to 50 million pounds, I think that kind of just puts him out of our price range, despite the fact that both of them, I think, have a very similar goals to minutes ratio or involvement in goals to minutes ratio across their respective sides. Who's the young German lad that Man City let go during the transfer window? Is it Nemecha?
Yes, I think so. That sounds familiar.
Mate, I would have had him all day long. I think he was a fantastic prospect, and I think that would have been. I think we missed out on that one. Andy, thank you. It was very much an impromptu show.
Yeah.
I kind of got back from being at a meeting all day and went, I miss my West Ham family. I want to have a conversation involving the West Ham family. Let's do this. So thank you all for coming. Rob, do you want to do your bits, seeing as that is your bits?
What? This one?
That's the one.
Okay, guys, you know the drill, and if you don't, allow me to inform you. There's a little girl. She's 7 years of age. She's Isla Caton, and she has a really rare form of cancer called neuroblastoma. She can't get the treatment in this country, and there's an awful lot of turmoil that this family have had to endure over the course of this particular illness that she's facing. Now, treatment is obviously something that they have to pay for and everything that sort of like associates to it. There has been something of a shift in the emphasis of what this Just Giving page is looking for. They're now trying to give Isla certain days out memories, things that to enrich her life, if you will. And we at Forge from Iron and I would like to think that the wider West Ham YouTube community are in behind this campaign. All we're asking you to do is to copy and paste, put this onto your social media platforms, keep the momentum behind it, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your followers, and you know what this campaign is all about. If you're in a position where you can put any money into the pot, you have the Just Giving link there. No donation is too small. The more the merrier. And I thank you very much indeed for listening as always.
Yeah, thank you to everyone that's still sticking around in the chat. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad you all were able to join us and stick around for for a significant amount of time that we've been going. Charlie, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated, sir.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Again, I've moved from there to here, so I've put in a lot of work for this. So I want
checks in the post.
Comments. Thank you.
Thank you to Chris for coming on earlier as well. Chris, you're probably not about, but it was much appreciated. Guys, drop a like on the stream. Yada yada. You know, Gatesy's bit. Where Gatesy? Where is it? It's that one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. There
got
you
it
go.
right. I
Well
got it right.
done.
I pressed the right button. I can't say my style now. Well, I can. Fuck it. We are fucking massive, Rob.
Yeah.
What you got to say?
The usual. Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons. Take care, guys. Good night, and we'll see you soon.
That's the one.